Billy back here with the broship of the nerds. And guys, I have been seeing some movies this year, so I figured I would start doing some reviews. As always, I will be doing an end of the year ranking of some of my favorite films of 2025, but I wanted to go ahead and do sort of a video to catch you up on what I've seen so far, and then we'll do more at the end of the year. So January 29th, I went and saw Wolfman with a friend of mine. um, this was a good movie. I liked the visuals, I liked the storytelling. There weren't too many characters to follow, and it was like a healing from trauma from multiple generations. And the main character, the dad, being better to his son than what his dad was to him. And I did like that message. It was one of those films I appreciate more now when I've had time to think about it. It's not one that I bought, but it's one of those that I wouldn't mind revisiting in the future. So I will say this was a decent enough watch. February 2nd, I was with a friend of mine to see Companion. And so, yes, I had a companion to see Companion. Companion was really unique. So you learn this guy and his girlfriend go to the wood, like a cabin, to stay with some friends, and they have like this kind of like this party, and they're staying together, and you meet all these characters, and you learn the cute backstory of how they met, and then there's more to it than what you realize. And there's a lot of twists and turns, and I really thought this was a well-made film. It had a good story, um, and yeah, Companion was just fun. It was different. I need to get a copy of this one. This was one. And I've noticed a lot of these films are only coming out with on DVD at my local Walmart. The Blu-rays are only online, the 4Ks, which sucks because there for a while you could get all the formats. So I'm gonna have to go out of my way to find this one or go online because I really enjoyed Companion. It is one that I want to buy, and it's one that I will rewatch and show friends because it was so unique. The main leads in this really stood out. They did a good job. Once again, you have, I am going to look up his name because I'm so bad with names sometimes whenever I see certain actors only here and there, but these people deserve a shout out because they did a great job here. And this could be one of the higher up ones. We'll have to see at the end of the year. But Sophie Thatcher as Iris, great job on her part. This was a great film, as she was great in Heretic, which I just saw recently with a friend or at a friend. So that's why this isn't going to the ranking because it already came out. But yeah, Sophia Thatcher was great in this movie as Iris, and Jack Quaid as Josh, and Megan Surrey as Kat, which you would know from Never Have I Ever. But Jack Quaid does a great job at playing these characters with a lot of charismatic, and I felt like those two as a couple really did a good job. And like I said, there were some twists and turns in there that made it more interesting, and I thought this was a great story. On February 7th, I went and saw Hard Eyes, a Valentine's Day killer, mistakes a guy and a woman as a couple, and he chases them, and they become a couple in the process. I really enjoyed this film. This film was well made. It had a lot of humor. I like humor with my horror, right? So, like, I really do. I love humor in my horror. And Hard Eyes was one of those where it had a lot of humor. And the Blu-rays already went to like 40 bucks online. It's so in demand because they mostly came out with just DVD, so it was hard to get. Olivia Holt as Allie and Mason Gooding as Jay Simmons. These two had great chemistry as a couple on screen. I really enjoyed it. This had a good story to it. It was fun. It was fast paced. There were a lot of epic kills. So if you're looking for humor in your horror like me, this movie is perfect for you. And I really enjoyed the dynamic. And just when you think it's over, there's more to the movie. I really enjoyed that. That they were not afraid to do the things they did. It was epic, and you could definitely tell Scream inspired. And I do need to buy this because this was a great film. March 6th, I went and saw Mickey 17. Um, it was very unique. Mark Ruffalo, Robert Pattinson are in this. It was hard because I went with a friend of mine and there was somebody else I knew from town who were watching it. And afterwards, like, what were they trying to say? Like, everybody, nobody's expendable, I think maybe it was the message. But Robert Pattinson's character, Mickey, is expendable. So basically, they use him to test out survivability of viruses, stuff like that. Then when he dies, they just reprint him with his all of his memories, so he keeps coming back. And on accident, there's two of him at the same time. So the rule is when you have duplicates, they have to be exterminated. So they're trying to stop this from happening. And I thought this was it was definitely unique and I had nothing else to compare it to, but I liked that about it. The problem was it jumps all over, and at times it can be just like, huh, what? But not in a bad way. I actually liked that about it. It was unique. And this is one of those I may buy, I may not, but I enjoy it for what it is. It was a good movie, and it definitely was unique. March 21st, I went and saw Novocaine. It feels like I just watched that yesterday. It was so brutal. Jack Quaid, Amber Midthunder, once again, get great chemistry, and Amber Midthunder is such a badass. If you remember watching Prey, one of my all-time favorite films that I need to talk about more, and need to show some more friends. But yeah, Novocaine with Jack Quaid was just amazing and funny and very brutal. There were some injuries. I'm like, ooh, and there was a scene where he puts his hand into grease, and you know that shit hurts, and he can't feel it, and he basically uses his inability to feel pain to basically to use it to his advantage and to fight off different people. So it's like being a superhero, but it shows like there were a lot of dangers with him not being able to uh, feel anything. So with him not being able to feel anything, it's just very, very interesting with the way the story went. His character's fun. He lives kind of a sheltered life because of his inability to feel pain. He just can't like do much at all. As far as like he's afraid to eat certain foods because he's afraid he's going to like bite his tongue off, and that is sort of rough. And he really hasn't been able to do a lot of things because of his inability to feel pain. So I really like that. Then on March 29th, I went and saw Death of a Unicorn with a friend of mine, and we went to the Alamo Draft House. And it's really unique because you go in there and they have a full bar, restaurant menu. They bring your food to your chair, and they have recliners and everything, but they have a very strict no talking policy. So you can talk before the movie and during previews. But once the movie rolls, if you talk, they'll give you one warning. At the second time, you're thrown out of there. So that was really interesting. And Death of a Unicorn was a really good movie. It's not for everybody. It definitely was my type of humor. And Paul Rudd, and as you know, Jenna Ortega is my favorite actress. Those two together as a father-daughter was real good. But Will Poulter, very underrated. We're the Millers. He's in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And really, this was a fun cast. They had a great story. And the unicorn deaths, absolutely brutal, just the way they did it. And they really got big into lore. So I enjoy this. Once again, this is going to be one of those cult classics. It definitely had its niche audience, and I was a part of that. I laughed my butt off, and there were certain things I probably shouldn't have laughed at, but it was the way they delivered the line, right? It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. But yeah, the way they delivered the lines made me laugh my butt off. And then on April 4th, I found myself with a friend to see Hell of a Summer. It was a rainy day, and I remember we got to the theater after eating really good food, and we went to. I find these diners that are unique, as my friend had pointed out. I have a way of finding them. We went to see this Hell of a Summer. This was a Finn Wolfhard movie, and the guy that played Simon in Fear Street 1994. Those two, were in here, and It had memorable characters. Most of the deaths are off screen or they only show the aftermath, which was fine. I really liked there was a really cool goth character that could see and speak with the dead, and she was really cool. Um, let's see, Hell of a Summer here. This was we had Finn Wolfhard was in here. I'm trying to find the character names. Hell of a Summer. Let me look up the cast here really quick. Hell of a Summer cast. Okay, so you had Finn Wolfhard as Chris, Fred Heikinger, I don't know, as Jason, Billy Burke as Bobby, Paradis Sarmini as Demi, Abby Quinn as Claire. She was cool. Julia Doyle as Miley. You had Ezra, you had Ari. I'm trying to find Noelle. Julia Lalonde as Noelle. Noelle was my favorite character in this film. This was one of those films. I hope it does well. They spent $3 million on it, and once again, for a first movie, I was impressed. I thought they had a fun little slasher here, and this was a really good summer slasher. It's made 3.1 off of 3 million. I hope it ends up making a little bit more. It just came out April 4th. This one's really good. All right, April 8th, I saw a Minecraft movie. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. When I saw the first trailer, I'm like, ooh, this could be really good or this could be really bad. It could go either way. Now, it was a lot of fun. I just when I saw the trailer and I saw Jack Black, okay, he fits the funny vibe. And then I saw Emma Myers, who plays Enid Wins. I'm like, okay, yeah, she has some humor to her. And then I saw Jason Momoa, I'm like, I don't know if he fits it, but I was proven wrong. They had a lot of chemistry together. Jack Black and Jason Momoa and Emma Myers and the rest of the cast were really fun. There were reports of police getting called over people being too loud and like throwing sodas and lotion and other stuff at screens and just basically tearing up these places. So I actually saw a notice today, one of the theaters about an hour and a half from me, where I kind of near where I grew up, they had to put out a thing saying you have to be with a guardian if you're younger than 17, or you had to be with a legal adult because of how much chaos was happening around this film. Story wise, not the world's greatest, of course, but it's about taking a chance on yourself and exploring and going on an adventure and just doing things you love and you're passionate about. It actually made me want to play the game. So one of my friends has actually been teaching me how to play Minecraft. So this led to me loving the game, despite the graphics, as I always joked about. But yeah, it was a good movie. I had a lot of fun with it, and if they do a sequel, I'm in. I mean, this was just a lot of fun. Jack Black, of course, as Steve, was the highlight for me. He cracked me up a lot, and then the story of Emma Myers' character taking care of her younger brother was really good. Their landlord's in there. This was just a really fun film. It's definitely going up there for me. We'll see at the end of the year where all this stuff sits. I will rank them in order, or try to at the end. Then April 12th, I went and saw The Amateur. This was really good. This was about a man whose wife was killed in London, and he wants to kill the people involved with the murder of his wife. And I am looking this up now. I just saw this. I've been seeing a lot of films this year. So yeah, The Amateur. You got Rami Malek as Charles Heller. Rachel plays Sarah, and then your other big star is Lawrence Fishburne. And this was not like John Wick. I'm glad they did not copy John Wick. This is more slow, methodical. This guy isn't like 6'4", 250. This is an average everyday guy who's using his intellect to try to kill the people who killed his wife. And it's a revenge story. And you know what? It didn't have a lot of cussing. It wasn't overly gory, but I was on the edge of my seat, as was my friend, the whole time trying to figure out what was going to happen next because of how methodical and slow paced it was. In a good way. It was very much a, hey, this guy's smart. We're going to explain what he's doing and use his talents. He can't fire a gun worth of crap, as there's a scene where Lawrence Fishburne's character is teaching him how to shoot a gun, and even standing up close to the target, he just can't hit it. So this is one of those. I think underrated films is going to. It's another one of those action films, but I think it has a great story to it, and it's going to be underrated. But we'll see. And then today, I just saw the movie Drop. Now, Drop, the premise is a woman goes on a date at a restaurant and she's really high up and she's getting messages from her phone telling her to check her camera. Her son is being babysat by her sister and somebody wants her to kill her date. And it's just whole cat and mouse thing. And it seems like whoever's doing this is always a step ahead and there's some twists and turns in there. This is, if you like a suspense movie, this isn't exactly it was the way it looked. It could have gone horror, but it was more suspense. So I'm glad they did that. There were not, it wasn't overly gory or anything, and they had a great story, and it kept you on the edge of your seat because you're trying to figure out what's happening, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It ends up being under 2 hours long, and with today's movies, you have it's one of the you have a lot of movies now exceeding 2 hours, and then you have some of these that are like an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. But I mean, as long as you're telling a good story. But yeah, this movie knows what it was doing. It knew what it was doing. It didn't overstay its welcome, and I was entertained from start to finish. The first 15 minutes or so, you're building your characters, but once they get into the date and everything, and you start understanding what's going on, it really pulls you in. And even if you're not a fan of horror, I think you will enjoy this film. It's one of those films that I think is easily accessible to fans who want to dip their toes into suspense slash horror, but not be involved with a real scary film. It's more of a suspense film. So yeah, those are the movies I've seen so far in 2025. So I've seen exactly 10 thus far, and I will be ranking them. I won't tell you what any of my favorites are yet because I don't want to run anything, but there are a lot of movies, and I did miss the new Captain America. That is one that I will be buying when it comes out on home video. And yeah, so I do see a lot of films, and because I have run out of room, I'm more selective on what films I buy. So a lot of these now are just one-time watches, and then others I will buy so I can revisit. And so that doesn't mean when I say I'm not buying a movie that it was bad. It's just not one that I'm going to rewatch multiple times or show my friends when they come over. Like Wolfman, I don't plan on buying it because I wouldn't show my friends over and over because I only have few friends that are into that sort of movie. So I feel like for me, and even for myself, I wouldn't just watch it over and over. So to me, there's no point in buying it. But something like Hard Eyes, I want to get my hands on because that is something I will watch multiple times. As Death of a Unicorn, I saw that 2 days in a row actually. So that's one that I will be buying to revisit. So yeah, that's what I've seen so far, guys. I hope you're doing well. And that's all I have for you today. So take care.